So, hey y'all, how y'all doing out there today? How's my 2020 survivors and my new viewers and subscribers, y'all? I hope y'all are somewhere where you can stay cool, 'cause this is one hot day. And tomorrow where I live at is supposed to be 96. So I just hope y'all somewhere and staying cool, 'cause it's a scorcher out there. So today, I'm here to talk about domestic violence. When I first started doing YouTube, I did some videos on domestic violence, as well as I read over some poems that kind of related to domestic violence situations and child molestations and things of that nature. So more and more, when I look at the news and on social media, all I see is domestic violence situations. And it's not getting any better, it's getting worse. Because more and more people are killing their own children. More and more women are killing their abusers. So I just wanted to come on here and just give you some in-depth details on domestic abuse, sometimes called domestic violence, because it can start off as in abusive situations such as financial, or not letting you see your friends, not wanting you to talk to your parents, telling you where you can go and not go. But I'm going to get into all of that. I've taken a lot of notes because it's been quite some time that I worked for the domestic abuse organization. It's been over some 30, 40 some years ago, so I know a lot of things have probably changed. So I've taken a lot of notes, and I don't want to miss anything because this is a serious topic. A week ago, I did a video on men and domestic violence. Men are victims also. And the thing is, it's not too much difference in the abuse that's inflicted on the men as the abuse that is inflicted on the women. But one of the biggest differences is that the men tend not to report it out of shame. Don't want to be teased and looked down on, and then it's a thing whereas, all right, if this woman was abusing you, if she hit you, struck you, hit you with something, what did you do to her? But that's not always the case. You know, women can be very abusive to the man, just as the man can be abusive to her. So I just want to go over this whole abusive situation. It's going to entail so much, because when you're in an abusive situation, it hurts not only the two people involved, but it hurts the children, sometimes physically. It hurts your parents and grandparents, and I'm going to talk about elderly abuse, child abuse. I'm just going to go through the work. So I'm taking a lot of notes. So I'm going to be reading off a lot of things. I don't want to forget anything. Also, to let you know that I'm an advocate for people. I'm not going to always just say women anymore, but people who are in abusive situations. I started out, I worked for the Domestic Abuse Organization of Delaware County for 10 years. I started out as a volunteer while attending classes at Cheyney University for criminal justice. My job description consisted of counseling people that were in domestic abusive situations, as well as assisting them in filing for protection orders, from protection from abuse orders. I advocated for them in criminal court when they went to file criminal charges against their abusers. And I also ran support groups for people that were involved in domestic violence situations. Later on, I went to move on up, and I became a hotline volunteer coordinator / counselor. Okay? So, I just want to let you know that I do have some experience in this field, and even more, I am a survivor of domestic violence for many, many years. So this is a subject I can just talk about, and I can just go on and on and on. I can write a book about myself and my domestic violence situations, and one day I will tell my story. And as you go back and look at some of my videos from the beginning, you'll see where I talked about bits and pieces of my situation. And I guess it just takes some people a little time than others to tell the whole world their stories. But trust me, I am going to get to it. So today I want to talk about domestic partnership, which we used to call common law marriage. So domestic partnership, and that is a legal relationship between two individuals who live together, share a common domestic life, but they are not married. They receive benefits that guarantee right of survivorship, hospital visitation, and others. It is also a relationship between a boyfriend and a girlfriend, or same-sex partners that are in a domestic, partner relationship. So, yes, it is when two people live together, they are in a committed relationship. That means that they are in a domestic partnership. So again, it is not a legal marriage. And the term domestic partner is often used in health insurance to describe who may be covered by a family health policy. And just to tell you a little story about my case when it's involving domestic partnership and health insurance and all, years ago when I was married. But when I was married, my husband and I separated so many times because of domestic violence. So one time he was in the hospital. I forgot the reason why. I kind of remember, but I'm not sure if that was the reason. But anyway, he was in the hospital, so I went to visit him in the hospital, and he seemed to be a little uneasy to me. But later on, I found out the reason why. Because there was the other woman that also had a child by him. She had him in her insurance at work. But I didn't know it at the time. I found that out later. So I guess she put down that they were in a domestic partnership or common law, because he would go back and forth. One minute he was at her house, next minute he was staying at mine, next minute he was with her. So I guess that's the way they consider their situation, domestic partnership or what have you. I know there was another time, not getting off of the subject, there was another time I found out that he had received his income tax, and he had a woman to sign it. I guess as if she was his wife, but I never found out none of these things until, like after the fact. So But anyway, so the term domestic partnership is often used in health insurance to describe who may be covered by a family health policy. Domestic partners can be of the same or opposite sex. So if you have any other questions on domestic partnership, just put it down in the comments and I'll find the answers for you. And somewhere along the line, I'm going to go into more detail about domestic partnership. Okay, so right now, I want to talk about domestic abuse, domestic violence. So, what is domestic abuse? Also called domestic violence or intimate partner violence. So, it is a pattern of behavior in any relationship that is used to gain or maintain power and control over an intimate partner. So as I talk about domestic abuse, stop and think. You know, the more and more I go into this subject, stop and think. Do you know of anyone that may go on through this situation? Or even yourself, take a check off or whatever. And stop and think. I'm also going to give you a couple of movies, couple of videos that you can watch. And don't just look at it as entertainment, but look at it for what it really is. The domestic abuse, domestic violence, the things I'm talking about now, you're going to see in these movies and in these videos. You see it every day in real life, but you probably just don't pay it any mind. Not really. You look at a husband and wife, girlfriend, boyfriend going through certain things, you'll say, oh, that's not my business. Their business. It's their business. Back in the day, a man would tell you, if you tried to help the woman, he's beating his wife, he would tell you, you don't have anything to do with it. This is my wife. A lot of times the woman would even take up for the man, and even now in some cases, they still do. So, abuse is physical, sexual, emotional, economic, or psychological actions or threats of actions that influence another person. This includes any behaviors that frighten, intimidate, terrorize, manipulate, hurt, humiliate, harm or blame, injury, or wound someone. It can happen to anyone of any race, age, sexual orientation, religion, or gender. It can occur within a range of relationships, including couples who are married, or living together, or dating. And I'm going to also get into that. Date rape. In a lot of cases, your young teenage girls, or even the boys, are in domestic violent situations, or they're being mentally abused by their partners. Stop and pay attention. Is there any changes in my daughter, or even in my son? Do you see any marks or bruises on them? Have they stopped being as sociable as they usually are? When they come in, do they go up to their rooms? Straight up to their rooms, which a lot of them do that anyway. But, start paying attention to your young people. So, domestic violence affects people at all social, economic backgrounds and educational levels. It doesn't matter how much money or education you have. It can still happen to you. Sometimes it's worse on the ones that have the most money and living the most lavish lives. You know, the lot is being taken away from them. Oh gosh, I could just go on and on and on and on about this subject, but I just want to bring it to your attention. I know a lot of people don't want to hear about domestic violence and child molestation and homelessness and all these topics. But it's things that we need to look at more and more. I mean, I'm beginning to look at even more about homelessness on YouTube. There's so many people out there that are homeless. They're taking over the parks. They're camped out in front of our department stores. They're all over the place. Why? We have to open our minds and our hearts to these things. It's not, and none of this is getting any better. It's getting worse. And with this domestic violence situation, it is really spiralized out of hand. Because now they're killing the children. I mean, y'all, what is going on? So that's the only thing I'm saying is if you believe that you know someone that is in a domestic violence situation, let them know that there is help out there for them, please. And the National Domestic Violence Hotline number is 1-800-799-SAFE. And I'm going to put that number down in the description box. So if you or, anyone that is being abused, you can call that hotline number and they will give you the number to a domestic violence agency in your area. Victims of domestic violence may also include a child or other relatives or any other household member. Domestic abuse is a pattern of abusive behavior towards an intimate partner in a dating or family relationship where the abuser exerts power and control over the victim. It's all about power and control. Domestic abuse can be mental, physical, economic, or sexual in nature, and incidents are rarely isolated and usually escalate in frequency and in severity. It may accumulate in serious physical injury or death. So it begins to happen more and more, and it becomes more and more severe the more you let it go on. It can start out with a slap or a push, as far as the physical, a slap or a push. So they see they get away with that. It's going to happen more often. Maybe it starts out once a month, twice a month. Goes down to 2 or 3 times a month. Once or twice a week, every weekend. Then them slaps and pushes become punch with a closed hand, punches. It gets to the point where they may even use weapons or lock you up in a room. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, and it's not going to stop. It gets worse. Until the abuser realizes that they have a problem and gets help, it won't stop. And don't think that you can change a person because you aren't. You can't. You cannot change them. They have to want to get help. So, I'm gonna go over, are you being abused? Okay? I want to see, this is a little quiz. And stop and think about how many of these questions are you experiencing? How many yeses do you have from this quiz? And if you answer yes to one or at least three of these questions, you may be in a domestic abusive situation. So the first question is, has your partner tried to keep you from seeing your friends or your family? Number 2, has your partner prevented you or made it hard for you to continue to start studying or from going to work? And if none of these questions pertain to you, stop and think. Is my sister or my brother going through these changes? Is my mother going through these changes? My cousin? Any family member that you know, even a friend? Number 3, does your partner constantly check up on you or follow you? Does your partner unjustly accuse you of flirting or of having affairs with others? Now that's a good one that they always try to pull, even if it's not true, even if they have no evidence or never even seen you. And a lot of times because they're the one cheating, so they want to automatically think that you are too. Number 5, does your partner constantly belittle or humiliate you regularly, criticize or insult you? Number 6, are you ever afraid of your partner? Number 7, have you ever changed your behavior because you are afraid of what your partner might do or say to you? Number 8, has your partner ever destroyed any of your possessions deliberately? Number 9, has your partner ever hurt or threatened you or your children? Number 10, has your partner ever kept you short of money so you are unable to buy food and other necessary items for yourself and your children? Or made you take out loans? Number 11, has your partner ever tried to prevent you from taking necessary medication or seeking medical help when you felt you needed it? Number 12, has your partner ever threatened to take your children away or said he would refuse to let you take them with you or even to see them if you left him? A lot of times they'll pull that one also. What is that flying? Whew. So, number 13, has your partner ever forced you to do something that you really did not want to do? Has your partner, number 14, has your partner ever tried to control you by telling you that you could be deported because of your immigration status? Number 15, has your partner ever forced or harassed you to have sex with him or with other people? Has he made you participate in sexual activities that you were uncomfortable with? Number 16, has your partner ever tried to prevent your leaving the house? Number 17, does your partner blame his use of alcohol or drugs, mental health conditions, or family history for his behavior? Number 18, does your partner control your use of alcohol or drugs, for example, by forcing your intake or by withholding substances? So y'all, I hope y'all take that all in and think about it. The next video on domestic abuse will be why don't women leave abusive relationships, and that's a good one. You know, people that's never been in this situation, or at least think they're not in it, and they know of someone else that is, that's one of the first things they say. Well, why don't they leave? But unfortunately, it's not as easy as we may think. But I already know it's not that easy. But I'm going to cover all of that. So until I come back with another video on domestic violence, and I'm going to get back to, we also can talk about the men that are in abusive situations. I'm just going to cover it all, y'all, because I am so tired. And it seems to be something that's really, you know, overlooked. And because of this, what's going on in the world today, it's even risen higher. More people are tensed, and more people have lost jobs and lost their homes, and there's no excuse for domestic violence. But this is some of the reasons now that it has escalated. More and more people are in the home, and tensions are rising. So I'm going to start off with these two movies, videos that you can watch. Both of them I'm quite sure you're familiar with, and as time goes on, I'm going to bring you even more. Because I don't want you to look at these videos as just entertainment. I want you to look at the seriousness of it and what's going on. I'm going to even bring you like articles from the news to let you know this stuff is real and that it's serious. And it has to be cut out. But this is something that's going to go on and on and on until people realize that this is a problem that affects everyone. No matter how we try to look at, turn our heads, not think about it because it's not us, it's happening. So, one of the movies I want you to watch, and it's a Lifetime movie. It's called Wife, Mother, Murderer. And I've seen this movie, I guess, about twice over time. I've seen it twice. And this movie is when the wife is abusing the husband. I believe some of you have already seen this movie, but I want you to look at it in a different way this time. The other one is, and this is an old movie, The Burning Bed. And this is when the wife is being physically abused. And I just want you to look at both of these movies and compare them. One is where the man is being abused. The other is where the woman is being abused. And when I come back with another video, I'll come back with 2 more movies that you can watch and see what you get out of it. And see the abuse that is being inflicted. And maybe to open your eyes, you know, to someone that you think may be going through this situation, or even yourself. So with that being said, y'all, I just want to say I hope you're staying somewhere where it's cool, because it just seems like it's just getting hotter and hotter out there. And I just want everyone to enjoy their weekend. And while you're at it, just like, share, and subscribe. And hit that bell so you'll be notified of another video. And I just want to let you know that I love you, and I hope you love me too. Peace, y'all.